to serve their enemies. Read, come on.
And in nakedness.
For your clothing. Read on.
And in want of all things.
So guess what? When your son was born, where did he go? I mean, what? When your son was born, what was he what when he was born? The hospital, right? Who owned that hospital? No. I'm talking to you, Philip. White people. They own the hospital. You had to go to another nation to make sure your son was born. That's a curse. That's an evil thing God put on us. Read, come on.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
God put yokes of iron on our necks. And when they took them yokes of iron off our necks, we was destroyed. We was called African Americans. We was called blacks. That's not who you are. So these curses fit our people. Who came in on slave ships? Our ancestors, right? And who does God call them? Who did God say they are? So what does that make you? If your forefathers came over on slave ships, if you had to serve your enemies for food, clothing, and shelter, coming out of the Bible, and God was speaking to, and Moses was speaking to Israel, what does that make you? It makes you a slave, or who else? Who was God speaking to? He was speaking to the Israelites. And these curses fit these people, right? So if these curses fit these people, that means that they are you. You are these people. You're the same people. This is your bloodline. You an Israelite. You understand what I'm saying? So guess what? Now that you understand you're an Israelite, right? You know that you're not an African American. That's a made-up term by Jesse Jackson. 1988, you can look it up. Because before we was called African American, we was called Negro. We was called Black, Afro-American. Why does our nationality change every so often? Because we are cursed. Because we didn't keep God's commandments. Now I'm going to show you a commandment that you need to start keeping. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. Because the officers answering all your sons' questions, but you got to be up, you got to go up in this Bible, 6 and 5. You got to teach your sons that this is your responsibility. You got to set an example for them. Come on, read.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart.
Verse 7.
Verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house.
So you got to learn this Bible and teach this to your children. You know why? You know what happens if you don't do that? The cycle going to continue. They're going to grow up not to know who God is. They're going to grow up. They already thought God was white. We had to show them that God was black. You see that? So you have to give me 2nd Ezra 14 verse 13. You gotta learn God's commandments and teach them to your sons. You gotta change it. If you don't want to do it for yourself, you need to do it for your children.
That's right.
Come on, read that.
2nd Ezra chapter 14 verse 13.
Come on.
Now therefore set thine house in order.
You gotta set your house in order. Setting your house in order means what? You gotta change you first. Because you can't be a hypocrite. You always got people saying, they smoking a cigarette, say, oh, don't smoke cigarettes, that's bad for you. You're a hypocrite. You can't tell me not to do something and you still doing it. You understand what I'm saying? Come on, read on.
And reprove thy people.
So guess what? You got children, so that must mean you have a woman, right? Or y'all married. If you love that woman, you need to marry her. According to God's commandments. Because guess what? God didn't give these commandments to everybody, Philip. He gave them to the Israelites. This is our heritage. The brother said we discontinue from our heritage. Our heritage is God's laws. If you love her, you would marry her. There's no in-between. There is no in-between love and hate. If you hate her, you're going to make her out of a whore and keep having sex with her. Or you're going to love her and do what God says. That's your decision. Read. So, Hebrews 13 and 4. If you love her, you're going to marry her and set that example for your children. Because guess what? If your children see your father get married, when they get older, they're going to follow after your footsteps. Right. Because that's the example you set. And if they don't, they can't never say, my daddy taught me wrong. You understand what I'm saying? Well, read that.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4.
Come on.
Marriage is honorable.
God said marriage is honorable. You honor that woman when you marry her. When you don't marry her, you dishonor dishonor her. You make her out to be a whore. You understand what I'm saying? Read, come on.
In all, and the bed of the foul.
Whatever you want to do with your life, inside of God's laws, that's up to you. Read, come on.
But whoremongers,
A whoremonger is a man that sleeps around. A man that's not married. That's a whoremonger. Read, come on.
and adulterers, God will
God
judge.
will judge you. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might be 2 years from now. But your judgment is going to come if you don't marry that woman. If you don't set the example for your children. They're going to go up and they're going to do the same thing these other young men out here doing. Read on, that's it?
Yes.
Now, give me Proverbs 22 and 5. Did that change up a child? 22 and 6. This is what you got to do for your children. Read, come on.
Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go.
The way they need to go is this Bible. You need to teach them this Bible, Philip. So you need to get around like-minded men who can give you who can show you how you're supposed to go about doing this. You understand what I'm saying? You can't do it alone. God didn't intend for us to be. Everybody saying they have a personal relationship with God. But you don't read about God having a personal relationship. You hear Israel. You hear God said, I'm going to send a nation of people into slavery. You understand what I'm saying? So, read that.
And when he is old, he will not depart from it.
So when they get older, they'll know I'm supposed to be keeping God's commandments. I'm supposed to be doing what my daddy showed me to do. You understand what I'm saying? So, Philip, give me Sirach 32 that talks about being around a godly man.
Yes, sir.
You got to come around godly men
37.
who know to keep God's commandments. Now, hold on, before we get that, let me ask you a question. What does it mean to be a man? What's your opinion on being a man? Huh? Okay, that's one aspect. What else? Having a job. You're doing good. What else? That's another example of but not necessarily. Because you can look up to a drug dealer, that don't make you a man. Right? You understand? What else? You said taking care of your kids, having a job, what else? Paying bills. Basically, responsibility, right? Now give me 1 Kings 2.
1 Kings chapter 2, verse 2.
We're going to show you how God says to be a man. Alright? Because we want to hear what God got to say. Because my opinion and your opinion don't really matter. You understand what I'm saying? Read.
I go the way about the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
So now this is Solomon. This is King David talking to Solomon, his son, before he died. Read it again.
Verse 2. I go the way about the
He
earth.
said, now I'm about to die, Solomon. Read.
Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
He said, when I die, be strong and show yourself a man. That's what you got to tell your church, right? Read on.
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God.
He said, keep the charge of God. Give me Genesis 18:18. How do you keep the charge of God? How does a man keep the charge of God? Bring it out. We're going to show you out of the Bible. You got that?
Yes, sir.
Read.
Genesis chapter 18, verse 18.
Huh.
Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him.
Read on.
Verse 19. For I know him,
God said, I know Abraham. Read.
that he will command his children.
He going to do what?
Command his children.
Come on, read.
And his household after him. And they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment.
So, Abraham kept the charge by doing what? Genesis 26 and 5. He kept the way of the Lord by doing what? Showing his children God's word. Showing them that they have to keep the commandments. Showing them that God is black. You understand what I'm saying? Read that.
Genesis chapter 26, verse 5. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my law.
So guess what? You got to follow out our forefather Abraham and keep God's commandments. You understand what I'm saying? Give me Jude 8, verse 24. It ain't about you, Philip. It's not about me. It's about the nation of Israel. And if you don't want your sons to go through what you went through, you need to set an example and show them the way that they need to follow. You need to marry your wife to show your wife a man is supposed to honor his woman. A man is supposed to hold out. Because what happens if you have more children and you have a daughter? You want your daughter to be treated how you would treat your wife, right? You got a daughter, so you have a daughter. You got 2 daughters. That's even more of a reason why you got a big responsibility. Guess what? I got 5 daughters. So read that.
Jude chapter 8, verse 24. Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example to our brethren.
You gotta do what?
Show an example to our brethren.
There are good examples and there's bad examples. You want to be in a good example for your children. You want to be in a good example for your wife. But ultimately what? You want to do what? You want to please God and you want to do what? You want to get to heaven.
What is the nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word, His word, His word.